Hi everyone, my name is Julia. Welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna put my coffee down because I'm sure that's gonna be very distracting. I don't really have a structure for this video. I just kind of want to talk about things that I'm excited to do in 2026. And one of my big arching themes for 2026 is going more analog. And what I mean by that is consuming more physical media, having more physical stuff, you know, like physical stuff, not in like, let me go buy things at a mall, but like I want to print more photos. I want to write more in my journal. I want to have 5 different journals for 5 different things because that's awesome. I want to talk more about media that I'm consuming that's not just on my phone or on YouTube or whatever. Now, when I say this, I'm not going to become someone who just doesn't go on TikTok. I'm not going to become someone who just doesn't go on Instagram. Like, I'm not going to become someone who doesn't still watch YouTube videos all day long. That's not going to happen, and that's not realistic for me. For me, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok are honestly my biggest sources of like creativity and ideas that I get for like books I want to read or journal spreads I want to do, or I don't know, like random things that I just really enjoy, like niche things that other people love, you know? So I don't want that to go away. I think why I want to be more analog in 2026 is I just want to get back to a time where I wasn't storing everything on my TikTok saves or I wasn't storing everything on Instagram. I want to be able to look back in a year and have physical proof of things that I enjoyed, things that I did, crafts that I was into, even if they only lasted a month. Like, I just want to be someone who is more into having things physically rather than just posting a picture on Instagram. And I know I'm kind of being repetitive, so apologies. With this video, I just want to talk about the things that I'm going to be using and doing more in 2026 and that I'm excited about in 2026. And I just want to talk. I want to, you know, talk to my girlies, talk to whoever's watching this video and wants to know what I'm loving for 2026. Anyways, I have a huge stack of things over here, so I'm just gonna start pulling. Honestly, I'll probably start with books first because books are obviously something that I'm extremely passionate about, and I feel like my content that I make surrounds around books, and I don't want that to change, but I also would love to be able to like come on here and make silly little vlogs of me living in Boston or talking about things that I'm like really interested in right now and that I'm like hyper fixating on. So I want that to kind of lead where my YouTube channel goes, but books are always going to be a huge part of the content I make. So I thought, let's talk about books that I'm reading right now or books that are on the top of my list. And I only have 4 physical ones with me, and I'm going to talk about one book that I don't have physically that's on my Kindle. The first book I'm currently reading right now is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I'm actually buddy reading this with my best friend Daisy, who has never read an Emily Henry book and has been begging to buddy read one with me because they know how much I love Emily Henry. And also, as we know, People Meet on Vacation, the movie just came out. I haven't seen it yet. Crazy, I know, but I'm trying to finish this book before I watch the movie because I haven't read this book since the first time I picked it up. This was the second Emily Henry book I ever read. I think I read it in like 2022 or 2021. So I have not read it for over like 4 or 5 years. And I need to revisit her, you know? She's like always on the bottom of my Emily Henry rankings, but I feel like if I reread it, I wouldn't feel that way anymore, which if you can't tell by my tabbing already, like I already know this isn't actually on the bottom anymore. I love a friends to lovers trope nowadays, so this just speaks to me, and obviously I'm enjoying it and I'm having a great time talking about it with my best friend Daisy. Also, like, let's bring buddy reads back for 2026. Like, I'm sure people are already doing it, but like I want to bring them back into my life because what is better than reading a book and getting to talk about it with like your best friend or a friend that also loves reading, you know? So I want to do more of that. And we both just like every time we hang out, we talk about like where we're at in the book and we talk about things that we love about it. So this is the first book I'm reading. The second book I'm reading is actually another buddy read, but I'm going to use the same words as my best friend Kylie. She said it's a loose buddy read because we're at different points in this book, and that is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. She also has a YouTube channel. I will link it down below. She talked about this book also in her video, but This is a classic I've been wanting to read for a really long time. If you've watched some of my past videos, I've talked about that I want to become someone who reads more classics. I feel like there are so many that I am so scared to read. And in the past year, I've read 3 classics, one of them being Frankenstein, which I was terrified to read. Ended up loving it, had no problem reading it. It was great. And I just want to stop being scared to read classics. And East of Eden is one of them. And I will say, I'm not even that far into it. And I'm shocked that I've been so daunted by this book. Like, there is nothing daunting about it. It is such a well-written story, and there's so many different themes in this that are great. If you've been putting off reading this, I highly recommend just giving it a shot, because you never know how you're actually going to feel until you open this book. And maybe buddy read it so that you're going through it with someone else. Also, can we talk about this cover? It's beautiful. I got this at the Beacon Hill bookstore in Boston. It is my favorite bookstore ever, and I'm so lucky that I live so close to it. The next book I have is actually from the library. I picked this up randomly. So this is The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. I feel like I briefly heard people talking about this, and I've definitely seen this cover before, but there's something about going to the library and not knowing anything about a book and then you just pick it up. That's so satisfying, and that's another thing I really want to do in 2026 that kind of requires me to be a little bit more analog in terms of I'm not just picking up this book because I've heard so many people talk about it. I picked it up at the bookstore because I read the back of it and I went, this sounds great. I'm going to read it, you know? This book has to do with a woman is not married. She's completely single, but she ends up going to her home one night and she's greeted at the door by a man who is her husband. And then he goes down to the basement and she goes down to follow him. Then he disappears, but is replaced by a new man who is now her husband. And this just keeps happening to her. And she's like, what is going on? Why is this happening to me? It's very fascinating. I love a little like time plot twist kind of thing where she has to understand why this is happening to her and what it has to do with her life. Like, there's something so great about reading a book like that. So loving this so far. The next book I read is kind of contradictory to why I'm reading that book, but this is because everyone is talking about this book right now and I just want to read it. And that is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. I've heard that this leaves you absolutely gagged at the end and feeling like you don't know what you just read, but also being like, this impacted me in so many different ways. I feel like I don't have to say much else about it, you know? The small synopsis in the back that really caught my eye was, it says, deep underground, 39 women live imprisoned in a cage. Watched over by guards, the women have no memory of how they got there, no notion of time, and only a vague recollection of their lives before. That's crazy. I need to read it. It's also great because it's a shorter book, and I have a goal of reading 50 books this year. Yeah, 50. So I kind of need to read shorter books to maybe reach my goal or feel better about myself in terms of reaching my goal. So I feel like smaller books like this are always great. Now getting into just like crafts and hobbies I'm really into for 2026 that again are helping me get off my phone, be more analog. How many times am I going to say analog in this video? I'm not sure. One of those hobbies is coloring. I love coloring. More specifically, I am exclusively obsessed with Bobby Goods. I'm obsessed with her. I own every coloring book she has. I own this like coloring book I found at one of my local bookstores. I own like her postcards. I'm obsessed with her. I'm like almost done with this one and I'm just having so much fun. And I love coloring, listening to an audiobook, or putting on a YouTube video, or having housewives playing in the background. But it's also like getting me to do something with my hands and I'm enjoying doing it. And it's allowing me to be creative. And there's such a great like coloring community online that's so fun. So this is something I'm just obsessed with, and you're probably going to see me doing a lot in future vlogs because it's just one of my favorite hobbies. Next is, this is something else that has to do with like doing something with my hands. I don't love cooking. My boyfriend is the cook in our relationship. He basically cooks everything we eat. But something that I've gotten very much into is baking. I actually am kind of reviving my TikTok content making because I decided to film myself baking for 3 days on the week of Christmas, and I actually had a lot of fun doing that because it just allowed me to do something with my hands while also filming it and kind of sharing my new passion and love for baking online. So if you'd like to follow me on TikTok and maybe see me make future little funny videos, feel free to follow me, but also don't feel pressured to, because I have no idea if I'm even going to do that. It's just like a loose idea I have, so we'll see. But baking has become my favorite hobby ever. I think I bake at least 2 to 3 times a week. At least I was, like, during Christmas time, I was baking so much, and it just became my obsession. And my boyfriend actually got me the Broma Bakery cookbook for my birthday, and it's called Sweet Tooth. I have some recipes here marked. I have mastered some of her recipes from this book already. There are still so many I want to try, and I want to challenge myself to make. One of my goals in the new year is to bake through a cookbook, and I've chosen this one, so we'll probably be documenting that on my YouTube a little bit. I also have this cookbook that I made for my boyfriend and I for our last anniversary, and it has like a bunch of our favorite recipes, but I like to put like our favorite like cookie recipes I've made so far, and just like baking recipes in general that like we love and are going to become staples in our house. This is just something I'm obsessed with. I love baking and listening to like an album or listening to a podcast, an audiobook. Sometimes I just bake with nothing on, and I just have my boyfriend sitting on the couch watching TV, and I'm just in the kitchen doing my thing. So I love doing that. And again, part of going analog, I want to write down a lot of the recipes that I'm making. I have a lot of recipes saved on my TikTok, so I eventually want to make them, and then if I end up liking them enough to write them down, I'll have them forever. Next is kind of going alongside with the whole writing things down, and that is journaling. So these are all my journals. I'm not going to go through them in depth because maybe I'll do that in a separate video again if anyone wants to see that. I have like a Hobonichi for just like normal, like I use it more for everyday journaling, like short journaling and like keeping track of highlights in my week and just like other fun tracking. But then I also have my Papier planner that I get every single year, and this one is a Damson Matter collab, which is my favorite brand ever. And I'm loving polka dots this year, so I use this as my like normal planner. I make like my to-do list every day in this. And then I have my junk journal, but I also have my commonplace journal. And yes, they are both gray. I did not mean for this to happen. I think I just love this color of journals. So yeah, I use this to junk journal, and I use this to just write down random notes and random lists and things that I keep track of. But yeah, if you want me to do a more in-depth video where I can like walk you all through my journals, I would love to do that. So please let me know if you're interested. And then kind of going alongside that, with reading as many books as I do, I feel like I forget what I like about the books because I read them, rate them on Goodreads, rate them on Fable, etc. And then I just kind of forget, you know. And I want to not do that anymore. I want to like write down what I loved about that book so that when I film a video about said book, I can recall my thoughts about them and actually be able to articulate how I feel about the book and what the book was really about. So my boyfriend's mom got me this book journal this year, and I'm really going to use her. I'm going to really get into it. I'm going to write down like main characters, favorite parts, lessons and takeaways, final impressions, questions, next book to read. Like I'm going to really craft my thoughts in this, and hopefully not only be able to articulate how I feel about books better, but also be able to look back at the end of the year or the next year and be able to come back to this and be like, oh my God, I read so many great books, or, oh, okay, I remember why maybe I really didn't like that author and their writing. You know, that's what I want to use this for. And then this is kind of silly and just something that I've gone into in the past year, but it's Sudoku and word search. I have Sudoku on my phone, but again, with being more analog, I wanted something physical, so I got this like Sudoku and word search book, and it is my favorite thing ever. I love doing physical Sudoku. It's so much fun. I love getting to use a pencil and then like erase if I make a mistake and go back and fix it. And then word search is really fun because it's not that difficult, but it's really fun to like have different themes for the word searches. So I plan to get more of these in the future, maybe even something bigger, but I've just become such a Sudoku nerd. I really, really love it. Like whenever I'm watching Housewives and I feel like I need to do something with my hands, I will just whip out my Sudoku book and I start doing that. Yeah, that's kind of it. I feel like I've been talking for hours, even though I haven't been, but I feel like this is a great way to kind of see what my 2026 is going to look like and give you all insight into what I'm really enjoying right now without it just being about books or just about journaling. Like it's kind of a mix of everything, and it gives you a quick look into like what future vlogs are going to feature. Cheers to being more analog in 2026. Cheers to like having more physical media and not getting rid of social media, but relying on it less when I'm bored. So we'll see how that ends up going. I'm excited to take you all along my journey this year and continue to make these videos. And I love YouTube, I love TikTok, I love Instagram, I love seeing creators like me create similar content. So I just want to say, if you're someone who is like hoping to be off your phone more in 2026, but still consume light amount of media, I appreciate if I'm a part of that for you, and that you're going on YouTube maybe for 1 hour a day or whatever your system may be, and you're choosing to watch this video in that time span. So I appreciate you all for watching this, and I can't wait to get more videos out for you all, and I am so excited to see what 2026 brings me and brings everyone else. So yeah. Okay, thank you all so much for watching this. I will see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye.